Landing in Fortnite has and always be one of the biggest deciding factors of how well you do each game. And for the most part, it's a hit or miss with guessing what places are good to land at and which places aren't so good. But there are some locations in Fortnite that, well, they're not so great. Yeah, not really too sure what happened there. Must have had a pretty bad cough or something, but I mean, on a real note, there are some seriously horseshit places to land in Fortnite. Like, you'd probably be better off just going AFK. Well, that is unless, of course, someone boxes you in while you're AFK and then you come back and they make you walk the plank and point a gun at your face. But that doesn't really happen too often. So welcome back to Top 5 Gaming, everyone, where today, and today only, if you like this video and subscribe, you will find a $1 bill on the side of your road. Don't spend it all in one place. I mean, think of all the things you could buy.
I can see a new horizon underneath the blazing sky. When the eagles flying high,
Oh wait, you have to pay sales tax at the dollar store? Number 10, Junction. This little scrapyard at the corner of the map isn't exactly the most common place for people to land. Given its name, Junction, and the crushed cars stacked all around, you'd think you'd be able to farm a whole bunch of metal, but in reality, you don't get that much. If anything, it's more efficient to get wood from the planks spread throughout the area. And when you get more wood than metal from a scrapyard, it isn't really standing up to its name. Yeah, sure, you've got a giant llama up on the hill, and that's pretty nice, but this place is just too far away from any real activity. Even if you're taking it slow, most people don't want to run halfway across the map for the circle. Now, they have added the Moai statue close by with some possible rifts located around it, so you don't always have to run that distance, and in all fairness, it can be a good route to take if you're playing solo and want to set yourself up before any real encounters. But go there as a team, and you won't exactly come out with a lot of loot. If you've had to fight for the area, then a lot of valued resources will have most likely been used up in battle, and you could find yourself running halfway across the map in open fields with no shield. Number 9, Haunted Hills number 1 and 2. There's a lot to like about Haunted Hills. I'll admit the scenery is pretty nice, even though it may be a graveyard, but the old school medieval style to the buildings with its rock structure is the only part of Fortnite that shows some real history. We've talked about castles plenty of times, and Haunted Hills is currently the only similar style location. But it just isn't enough. Epic Games tried to buy us all off with Haunted Hills, but I'm not too sure if they've persuaded the community. When the location was first introduced to the map, its loot locations were pretty much non-existent. Not long after, Epic added a whole bunch of loot and chests to try and persuade everyone Haunted Hills could still be good. However, like all of those edge-of-the-map locations, minimal people will really go there, and you can find you have the entire place to yourself a lot of the time. Hopefully we see some decent changes coming with Season 6. They managed to make the southeast edge of the map more popular again with the desert and risky reels with Tomato Temple holding up the northeast corner. You have Viking Village and all those rifts encouraging more people to go to the southwest corner, but the entire northwest corner has been pretty unpopular for a while. Pleasant Park is doing okay, but come on, Epic. I want to see how you make this area popular again. Number 8, Lucky Landing. While Lucky Landing was first put into the map on March 1st, the community was ecstatic. The unique styles Epic Games gives to each location is something we all enjoy, and a Japanese and Chinese style location was definitely a hit with the community. This location is 100% one of the nicer looking locations with its bamboo shoots spread throughout and a massive cherry blossom tree in the center area. You can't help but admire this location, but when it's been in the map for 6 to 7 months, all the hype for that new and exciting thing fades away. And when you're sitting on the battle bus ready to jump, what you're left with in a battle royale game is how efficient is that area for me to land. It's not too bad for loot, but there isn't a lot of material. The bamboo shoots will give the same amount of wood as any apple tree, and there's not a lot of them to go around. Other than harvesting furniture and one blossom tree in the middle, the only way to get really stocked up on material is to be heading out of the town. Plus, with Lucky Landing being directly on the edge of the map surrounded by high mountains and hills, it's way too easy to get ambushed or picked off, and there's no time to waste with that storm. Number 7, Flush Factory. This toilet factory has been in the game since the very beginning. It's one of the few original locations still left standing, but do we really want it though? Flush Factory has literally been shoved into the corner of the map, hidden from view by the giant mountain looming over it since time forgot. The only times I really think about landing here is if I need a ton of metal in playground mode from the conveyor belts. It's definitely one of the more bizarre and comical locations with its giant toilet in the car park and a toilet sitting up top of the mountain next to a couple of shopping trolleys. Pit stop maybe? But in all honesty, I can't. A big majority of players never bother to go there anymore unless it's for the challenges. With the factories just over the hill, most people prefer to go there instead. It's got plenty of loot, more material. You don't have to run as far as the circles elsewhere, and don't forget about the club. Flush Factory has become one of the least popular areas in the whole map, and given that they're even missing a whole corner of the island, I think they might be missing out on a lot of potential. Number 6, Fatal Fields. Fatal Fields is probably one of the most hit or miss locations, with some people declaring it pretty much holy ground, while others just cannot stand the area. It's one of the few locations that look like your classic farm-style battle royale maps from games like PUBG, although in Fatal Fields, I doubt you'll be able to hide in that thin crop. It can be pretty useful for material with 3 woods surrounding the location, but that doesn't mean we need Fatal Fields. I think what a lot of the community don't enjoy about the area is the minimal loot that's so spread out when you're playing squads. You may not always have the most organized team, and when you land at separate buildings in Fatal Fields, it's almost impossible to save a downed teammate in time. If the location's contested by another squad, you'll find most people swarm the house while others will split off around it. With its open landscape and low defenses, it can be just a challenge to come out of with the full squad alive. Number 5, Loot Lake. We've been over Loot Lake quite a bit throughout our videos, with possible pyramids underneath the lake to the cube supposedly making its way there to destroy it. We've come up with water park concepts to replace it or at least give the area an upgrade. The fact is, Loot Lake just isn't the greatest place to land. If you've got a team and you decide to stick together by all going to the same side of the lake, you'll be left with minimal loot. If you decide to split up in hopes of more loot, then you risk losing teammates quickly, as it's near on impossible saving them from the other side of the lake if they get knocked. The lake itself is nice to look at, but when you have to bunny hop across or waste materials, you soon forget how nice the view is. In the beginning seasons of Fortnite, loot would drop into the water, making it insanely difficult to find the item you want. People get too annoyed with this, and Epic released an update to make items now float above the water. Smart, but it's not all fixed. Currently, when opening supply drops in the water, some of the possible loot that you can get will not spawn in. I'm not sure if it's because the supply drop is half in the water when you open it. Some items might fall below the map possibly, but this lake has always had its problems, and hopefully sometime soon, if at least one of the possible theories is right, we might see some change to Loot Lake. Number 4, Junction Point 2. Junction Point 2 is currently the nickname some of the community have given to the unnamed location in the very southeast corner of the map. I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of you haven't actually been there yet. It uses the same exact style as the Junction with the crushed cars and has a small central building with a hidden basement that has a chest. Usually we wouldn't add a location already as small as this to the list, as you already expect it's not going to be a hot spot for activity or much loot for a whole squad, but it does actually have quite a few chests spread around. The only problem is almost no one ever goes here anymore. A lot of people will land on the mountain next to it to grab 2 possible chests and then jump into a rift, but when you look down at this location, 9 times out of 10 the area is completely untouched. It's one of those few locations that will someday be replaced and then forgotten about the next day. With the rifts spread out all around the area of the map, there's plenty of other better areas to land and loot up. You can barely get enough choice of loot for 1 person, let alone 4. Number 3, the Trailer Park. Landing here isn't going to be a great idea, as a solo player or as a squad player. This unnamed location between Lonely Lodge and Retail Row has a possible 3 chests and scarce floor loot to go around. As squads, it's probably one of the worst places for you to land if you want loot, and if you're really unlucky, you could come out of there without a gun. If you need some metal, on the other hand, no worries, you can easily stop by after landing at any of the better locations next door to harvest those caravans. But if you find yourself landing there, be careful of the hilltops surrounding the area. A lot of people will rotate from Lonely Lodge or Retail Row towards the Trailer Park to pick off any unsuspecting souls from the hilltops above. And with the Moai statue rips up on the mountain north, you can almost guarantee someone is going to be landing there and checking you out from the safety of their high ground. It's better than just having a field there, but not by much. The place needs more loot or a whole new upgrade before it becomes decent again. Number 2, Dusty Divot. Dusty Depot was always a pretty liked area in Fortnite. When landing here, the original 3 warehouses were big, wide, and empty with a bit of loot spread around. It was a 30-second all-out war as everyone landed, grabbing a gun and attempted to become the last man standing and king of Dusty Depot. From there, you could see long and far across the open fields, find your next target, and go on the hunt. Now, I'm going to separate Dusty Diner from Dusty Divot at the moment because the diner is pretty nice, plenty of loot too, but the actual divot itself isn't exactly the ideal landing location. It's now completely closed in with the many trees. It's just almost impossible to spot an enemy until they're already upon you. Think you might be able to quickly build your way out because you cheekily harvested some material from many trees? Well, those same trees and the wide open structures can really get in your way when building and could end up becoming your downfall and a serious problem. When you've got the new and improved Dusty Diner up on the crater's edge, there's really no need to go down into the crater anymore. You never know where you might find someone camping behind one of those trees. Number 1. The original Tomato Town. We thought we'd throw it back to one of the most beloved yet worst landing locations in Fortnite's history, the original Tomato Town. Don't get me wrong, we all enjoyed a slice of Uncle Pete's pizza with the introduction of the tomato head skin, plus the rifts making the tomato head disappear. There seemed to be a tomato cult rising through the Fortnite community. Praise be to Tomato! But realistically, Tomato Town was terrible to land at. Let's be real here. Most people would like to go to the house just west of it, or the tunnel south, rather than the main town itself. The entire town only had one chest, and that's if you got lucky and it spawned. The few tiny buildings around the pizza place had barely any loot, and the main Pizza Hut itself had wide open windows all around, which you could easily get picked off through. Fortunately for us, the tomato head traveling through time created the current tomato temple that you see today. I think Uncle Pete did this on purpose, to be honest, because now he's seen as a god and his backyard filled with plenty of loot. Evil genius at work here? But that has been our list of the top 10 worst Fortnite landing locations. Be sure to click that like button, subscribe to the channel, push notifications on. We hope you have a wonderful day, and keep it here on Top 5 Gaming. The top 10 though. I don't want to see any more comments telling me about top 10 gaming. We don't associate ourselves with top 10 gaming, okay?